This is stuff.
Somebody's been locked in there all week.
Somebody in there.
Could be the cleaning girls, huh?
Let me out.
Ho, ho, ho.
Okay, I'm gonna call the, April 8th, 2021 regular town council meeting, town of Stokesdale to order. The, first order is review and adopt the agenda. Are there any changes or additions to the to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, we had a proclamation that we were going to try to get through, and it came in very shortly.
Excuse me, can you speak into the mic, everyone? Thank you.
The state has a pending okay on this proclamation. It has to do with our update for emergency management, which goes from local to county to state to FEMA. And we just have been able to get that finished. Did you have a chance to speak to the attorney?
We could discuss it, but we can't vote on it. So what I thought we would do is put it on the agenda for the budget meeting, April 20th, and we can vote on it then. I've got copies.
Okay, all right.
I'll give everybody, because it's a, 25-page document. It's something we do every so often. Oh, it's up there, so it's up.
The basics are on that generally, that you're
Okay.
changing names, addresses, contacts, and any different types of emergency preparedness.
Any other changes or additions to the agenda?
So that-
Then I make a motion, we approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I call a question. Jimmy Landreth?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jim Rigsby?
Aye.
And I. Review and approve the minutes of March 11th, 2021. And everybody should have a copy of that in your file. Is there any, one want to make a motion to accept them as presented? Or do you want to make any changes or additions?
I'll make a motion, we accept them as written, the minutes.
I'll second. Any discussion? Call a
My copy has a big draft across the top.
mine
in
does
hand-
too.
In handwriting. Can we just X that out, Mr. Attorney?
She
Make this-
made 2 changes during the week. Is this the final
That
copy?
is the draft. The final copy I have without the draft on there. It was supposed to be across it, and I done printed it 14 times. So I just wrote it on that one.
So that has no bearing on the actual minutes?
No.
Mr. Attorney, all right.
We have a motion and a second to approve them without reading. I call a question. Jimmy Lander.
Aye.
Darren.
Aye.
Derek.
Aye.
Jim Rigsby.
Aye.
And I. Board and administrative reports. Priscilla.
There's a lot to say, but I'm gonna do it short. It is, 12 meters were sold since the last meeting. 25 are on hold. There was 62 811s and 605 water bills. And a lot of work.
Any questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep, thanks.
Administrative report. Planning board. Nobody here. Events committee.
The events committee, the only thing on the calendar is the parade, December the 11th. That's the second Saturday of December. Also, the committee still would like to do a community cleanup day. May 1st is not going to work just logistically with the events committee. Still something we want to do before it gets hot, or we'll wait till the fall to do it, preferably in May.
Okay. Financial report. Kim.
About property committee,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
we don't have anything. I mean, we're gonna obviously talk tonight about our landscaping contract going forward. Other than that, I know we had a couple issues at the park. Jimmy, did you have a chance to check on those?
Which ones? I've checked on several.
The drain that was stopped up or something?
Well, the drain is where the water's coming out to the pipe, and it's naturally, it's wearing the dirt, so there's a hole there, and water's gonna stand until it dries up. unless you wanna go in there and cut it down. And then it's gonna do the same thing again. So, I mean, you got the rock in there and everything, so, I mean, I moved some rocks around and, you know, got a little bit of water flowing, but there's, you know, without going in there and putting more concrete or something like that, you're gonna, you know, have it standing. So that'll just be something everybody will have to look at, if it's something we wanna do, or if we're gonna just accept that that's a drain, and you're gonna, when it's wet, you're gonna have water.
Yeah.
That's just a recurring issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna, you know, when you fix it, it's gonna do the same thing, because water takes dirt when it rolls, especially when you get a big, heavy rain.
Yeah, one other thing, and I'll let Priscilla explain it. I don't think we need to vote on it yet, but can you explain what you was talking about with the cleaning?
They're having trouble with the bags getting so full in the summertime. And I know in the past, what we did was we said, in order to cut costs and not have additional fees, we said just come and clean this office every other week and do twice in the park every week. That way she can go down and empty the trash before they get really heavy and she can't seem to get them out because they're sucked in there. So he said he would check and see if she's willing to do that, and if she is, you know, then he'll talk further. And I wanted to check and see, is that something that requires a vote for them to change that without it being any additional money? If they agree to that, then I don't know of any reason we would have to vote, but I haven't heard the final word. from
You've
him
done this
yet.
before, though, hadn't it? This has been done before, it just wasn't done last year.
Not with this particular cleaning
Right.
company. It was when we had
I
some.
mean, I don't see any reason not to do what you've been doing if, I don't bother me, I would
don't
vote,
see any
I would
reason to
vote to
vote
be
on
able
it.
to do it.
If there's no additional
But-
cost, I
yeah.
don't see any reason to vote on
Yeah,
that.
There in, we did the summer-winter deal a couple of years in a
Yeah.
row, because up here in the summertime, other than the rented rooms, maybe an HOA or something, that's about it, other than what
Yeah,
we're
it gets
doing
pretty.
now. But down there, it triples and quadruples with
Yeah.
all the stuff, and people come down there and actually dump their garbage into our cans too and drive out, so. But yeah, it's worked out without a problem, and come about, October or so, when it starts getting cool and the fall guys are gone, we reverse it.
Yeah, in the summer months, it gets so busy and with picnics and people playing soccer that the trash cans just get
And they get
overwhelmed.
heavy too, heavy.
I mean, I
We
don't,
have to wait and see if he agrees and if she's willing to switch that off like that.
And we had talked about getting a cart of some type with some heavy tires, like balloon tires, because some of those bags from the far walking trail are 40, 50 pounds worth of junk shoved down in there over 4 or 5 days. So that's something that would be very beneficial long-term, and I think that'd be a good investment, so we don't end
Give
up with
Republic
somebody
to
on
give us
a
a
workers' comp case for their company. Then who's gonna claim?
I think you're just kind of talking about like a wheelbarrow, impromptu wheelbarrow or something.
Well, I'd do a 4-wheel.
Right, but like just a rolling cart's what
Yeah,
you're talking about.
nothing, yeah, manpower with a handle
Yeah,
with something
nothing,
sturdy
nothing
enough to
specific to
carry.
garbage necessarily.
Because
but-
the wasp are in there, the syrup comes all over the people that pick those bags up. the
you
wasp
can
are-
get one of those at Sam's Club, one of those metal wagons.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay,
so
Yeah.
So,
Kim,
that's not a big deal.
Okay,
budget and finance.
all right, let's start with the general fund. It's really close. All right, so on the balance sheet, you'll see that we have $195,124.21 in the Bank of Oak Ridge checking. Total of our CDRs are $2,585,910.83. Fidelity checking as of 3/31, $212,289.44. Petty cash was $150. Down below there, you will see that we do have for the accounts receivable where the water does owe for Gary's salary, and the total water reimbursement at this point is $26,403.45. On the budget versus actual, Our total for year-to-date through 3/31 of reimbursement from the Water Enterprise Fund is $105,793.61. I would like to request from council, if you will look at category 880-100, which is the FICA. We are really running close. We're getting ready to go over budget with that one, probably within the next payroll period. And I would like to request approval from council if we could move from category 40-100, which is administrative expenses and fees and education. That total is $9,000 in the budget, and we've only spent $162 in there. So I was just gonna request, could we move $3,500 from that down to FICA?
Kim, because it moves from a different category, even though it's under the general fund, I think that would require a formal budget
Budget
amendment.
amendment, okay.
So, if you could put the budget amendments you think we need for the May meeting.
Okay.
And, we can do that. In terms of being able to make the disbursement legally, we're gonna be fine, because for the category for payroll, we're still fine. But just to
Right.
tidy it up for May, if we could do that.
Okay, I got it. I'll do that.
Kim, can I ask a favor?
Sure.
On your general fund, the account QuickBook report, can you do that in a bigger font?
Oh,
When you
okay.
get as old as I am, it's hard to read that small.
Whew, I thought it was just me.
Had to get me some binoculars.
I was having a hard time too.
Are you talking about,
Landscape. I'll turn it to landscape so it'll come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I will.
One letter at a time.
Ordered one of those telescopes.
I
I'll get
felt
all
there
of
and I
your
said, can
magnifying
you read this and
glass.
see if this check showed or what?
All
I
right.
said, read what? I
Would
can't
be
even see the
nice.
page.
I will do that. Yes, I will. Okay, where was I? I think I'm finished with the general fund. Yeah, okay,
Yeah, what are
yeah, I'm finished with the general fund. So let's move over to, I'm making sure I didn't have any more notes anywhere, and I don't think that I did on that one. All right, let's move to the water. Okay, the balance sheet, total CDRs, $498,672.48. Water enterprise checking, $512,155.86. The capital reserve, we have $50,001.58. And, with the North Carolina, Management Fund, we've got $522,469.39. And our savings with Fidelity is $45,041.21. Our accounts receivable with the water is $27,875.65, and that was to date, and that includes inactive. And then if you go over to the budget, you will see, again, the reimbursement to the general fund to date is $105,793.61. Our numbers look pretty good in the, numbers look pretty good in the water.
You say the 105,793.
It is $105,793.61.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got it.
It was the cheapest.
And if y'all can, yes, I will fix this going forward. That is really small on this one for sure. On the checks for the water, because it's a lot.
You have to turn it sideways and use 2 pages.
Yeah.
I can't
I'll
read it
go-
with glasses
Just
on.
front and back.
Yeah, I'll go landscape, because that is really small on that. It's smaller than the other one. Okay, yes, I will fix that moving forward. Let's see, and I do believe that is all that I have on the water as well.
Any questions or?
I do have one question. As far as the totals that we have in arrears, Prius, you're, the pro at this. This does include our active and inactive, and I do see that our late fee, how are we doing, collecting on the inactive? Are we,
Well, there are some that we did have one payment that came in this week of $800 from one person, so
right.
yay for her. And, so I've not really had time to stay on top of that lately. You know, normally if you remind people that are late and let them know you're willing to work with them, you know, they get those payments in. But some people do need reminding.
Okay.
I have a general, just comment, and I guess this is a good time to make a comment because it has to do with the money. But under the American Rescue Plan that Biden signed in, maybe it's 3 or 4 weeks ago, but part of that, there's allocation for significant money to municipalities, and the scope is a lot broader than the CARES Act was from last year. And there's documents, I spoke with the county manager, and there's documents floating around that indicate Stokesdale could get a significant amount of money. But there's no documents that have what the criteria is or anything like that. So that's still very much ongoing. I spoke with the town manager at Summerfield, and he agreed that, I just didn't want to make sure we were behind the 8 ball, and he agreed that they're still learning about it as well. But the number that the town could potentially get, they threw a number out there that could be 75% of our operating budget. That's a huge number, so I'd be hesitant to say, I wouldn't say that that's what we're entitled to, but there is a document that says the town of Stokesdale could get that. So as more information comes through from the county and state, we just need to stay on top of that. And Kim, we're gonna need your help with that, so.
The mayors and the town managers had a Zoom meeting with the county manager and the assistant county manager on that last week. There's supposedly $220 million available, but it's like $52 million a year over 4 years. They have not received the money, and they don't have any guidelines on how that money can be spent. But there are 15 municipalities in the town, so what he did with us was, he just said, what are some of the projects? Would you use your coronavirus money, and how were you affected by coronavirus? And at the end of the meeting, I actually met in our meeting with Bill Bruce from Oak Ridge because we had some common interest. And they sent a letter out, I think it came in today. They're wanting to have another meeting with the mayors or the town managers, either Tuesday or Wednesday. They haven't set a definite date. What they were trying to do was just assimilate what everybody wanted. And then, here's some possibilities and things like that. So nothing's in writing. I did mention that, there were, obviously, one of the big things I'm trying to do, is get $5 to $10 million for that whole river extension on the water line. And he understood that. I said, we've got 700, and I told him a number, 766 houses. If you figure it, $300,000 a house, which is low, that's $220 million. I said, that's a heck of an economic incentive. And so we're trying to sell them on that. But they have no idea of exactly when they're going to get that money. One of the other things, he said, well, tell me some of the other things. And I mentioned to him about every year we give the school $10,000 roughly for computers. He said, that's absolutely unacceptable. He said, that's our responsibility. He said, I will check into that and try to get y'all a reimbursement on that. I mean, we've been doing that for 10 years, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I told him, I said, according to the PTA people, ours was the second lowest rated technology in Gilbert County. And I said, our people don't understand that. We pay the same property tax as everybody else, and this is an upscale neighborhood, so it's not like we're not paying our fair share. So we'll see what they do. It'll be interesting, but it's only $52 million a year for 4 years.
Is there any possibility to reopen that sales tax conversation? And I mean, I think that would help us tremendously if we could start getting a portion of that, because we're paying into that as well.
You did, John.
We had a meeting with the county commissioners and brought that up. Skip Austin, it was a Zoom meeting, and I told him, I said, we just don't quite understand that. We're one of the few towns in North Carolina that does not have a sales tax. Property tax. And we have no debt, and our people are paying the same property tax. It used to be per capita rather than ad valorem. And it sort of falls on deaf ears. Guilford County did that to figure out the way they could get the most money for themselves, but at least we advocated for it. And I know that, in the past, Randy, Jones as mayor went down to the county commissioners and lobbied for it, but, it doesn't seem to be a lot of, impetus on the commissioners, because we're the only one asking for it.
I got you.
It's still not fair.
No, I agree.
But that's where we are, and, you know, once we hear anything definitive from, the, county manager, I'll get back with you. Next item, citizens' comments from the floor. I guess you can be the first and last.
The man in the first row.
Hey, Mark, the bottom switch on that mic, turn that mic on, the bottom switch. There's a little switch at the bottom.
That works.
There you go.
Anyway, my name is Mark Nadell, 8211 Wendy Gale Drive, Stokesdale. First, I want to clarify, the statement I'm about to make has nothing to do with whether or not our former town clerk did a good job or didn't do a good job. This has nothing to do with that, okay? So I want to clarify that. And the decision that the town made on the severance package, I'm not questioning what she got at this point. What I'm really bringing up is this is more of a procedural concern. I wanted to voice my feelings about this decision that the town council voted 5-0 to approve at the March 22nd, 2021 special town council meeting. An article was published in the Northwest Observer regarding the separation agreement between our former town clerk and the town. It was noted that the past town clerk had resigned her position and was given a financial package which included a lump sum of $11,000, a payment of $3,000 for future employment services, as well as paid medical through December 31st of this year. My estimate, I don't know the exact numbers, but somewhere that's going to cost the town about $20,000, give or take a little bit where we're at. Okay. As I stated in my opening, I'm not here to argue whether or not it was deserved or not deserved, you know, based on the services. I find the decision of the council to vote to give a resigning employee a severance package has the potential to set a precedent for other employees who might desire to leave their position at town hall. What would stop our current deputy clerk from resigning a job and not expecting a financial package like that? To me, that appears that the town set up a potential legal battle. Now, there may be agreements signed and other things. I don't know anything that went on during that meeting, but we all know that this could end up in court as a discrimination case if another employee decided to leave and didn't get the money, okay? We're now at town hall forced to increase our expenses, hire a new employee, okay, while we still have a former employee on the books, or we paid, okay? This is going to require a budget amendment, because obviously this was not figured in. And just based on the information I have, I just feel that the process that was employed was not thoroughly thought out, and the town just added some really unnecessary expenses. I've heard mixed comments as to what went on. Again, I was not part of that, so I don't know. I'm just giving information based on what I read in the newspaper. And I'm not here to bash one side or the other. I just think it puts us in a very precarious position where we're trying to watch our expenditures and we just dropped $20,000 where we're going to have to figure out where we're going to get it from. Thank you.
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
So, as far as dropping $20,000, one thing you gotta factor in is we're not currently double paying because, you know, we haven't hired an additional town clerk, and we expect it to be a 2 to 3 month process. So we will not be paying that double salary. So, there are some factors there that need to be, you know, the $20,000, you know, it's not quite accurate because we're not gonna be double paying during that time that we're compensating her salary.
But we've made an expenditure, and there's work that has to be done, which may require current employees to work overtime and get paid. So the numbers aren't as disturbing to me as much as the precedent it sets. I've never in my work career heard of people resigning other than in major corporations with golden parachutes where people walk out and leave a company and get a handful of money. You know, she's in a great position right now based on all this COVID situation because of the federal money that can come in. And I'm not gonna get into what she's entitled to, but she's entitled to a lot of other money from the federal government right now, as well as in North Carolina. So that's good for her, and I wish her only the best. I have nothing, this has nothing to do with that. But I just think that it sets us up for a potential problem later when XYZ employee decides that they might want to resign the company, resign the organization, the town, and say, you know, where's my piece of the pie? Now, whether somebody wins it in a legal battle is another story, but we all know that if it goes to a legal battle, it now costs the town money to fight it. So I'm not sure what the thought process was, because again, I was not part of that, and I don't know what went on, and I don't know the circumstances, so I can't speak to that. I can only speak to, I was quite shocked when I saw it in the paper. I was also, as a side note, kind of embarrassed, because I thought to myself, that information shouldn't have really been put out from, you know, that's kind of why a comment wasn't made in the paper. We see this all the time. You know, an agreement was signed, details not to be discussed kind of thing. And I realize there's legal issues that we have to notify, but I just kind of thought the way it was handled was I don't know if it was thought out thoroughly. You know,
We have requirements,
I realize
the
that.
general statutes, closed session meetings. The information on that is not public. That's confidential with the council and the attorney, and we have to adhere to those requirements.
Right.
So we released what Mr. Medlin told us we could release, and that's the end of the story as far as I'm concerned, unless Tom has a.
Okay, that's just my comment, and that's it. I don't want to argue with anyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Anybody else?
That was a
Come out
camera,
of
that
the
was a
closet.
camera turner, wasn't it?
Anybody on Zoom?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just us.
Chickens.
Just us.
Nobody else, okay?
No.
Nobody's watching the hen house.
No, they're all.
Do they know we're meeting tonight?
They do.
Under old business, vote on selection of lawn maintenance vendor for town hall, town park, water tower, and chlorination station. Jim Reevesby.
So we took bids. I believe I sent all of you guys a copy of the entire bid list. Excellence Lawn Care was the lowest bid at $24,000. We have verified they do have workman's comp and a liability policy, as well as a pesticides license through another party that they're subcontracting with. So at this point, and we have, I think Jimmy's talked to some references with them. So, and I've talked to one reference, Mr. Nadell, that's in the audience. So at this point, unless anybody has an objection, I'd like to make a motion to enter into a contract with Excellence Lawn Care at the rate of $24,000 per year for mowing and landscaping.
1-year contract?
Let's discuss, okay, go ahead, let's get to the,
Well,
We gotta have a second, discuss it, I just want.
yeah, I'll second it for discussion.
I can finish it. I'll just enter it, and we can discuss it as a 2-year contract, but with an out, you know, depending on if Tom can ensure that we can get out of it if we need to.
Performance clause. He just,
Same rate.
he just sent me a note that he can start Monday morning if he's voted in tonight. I told you I'd try to get a hold of him this evening, and he just has got back with me. But he said they can start, so that's a good thing, if they're accepted. So they have, he lives right down here. I mean, he's right down the road here.
Oh, okay. So
Below
they're
Derek.
local. Yeah, I don't have the name.
So, I mean, they're right there if they, I mean, it could be a good situation. I don't know, you know, I've talked to several people, you know, about him, and I guess Mark, it does work for you, doesn't he, Mark?
Right, he used to do work for me, and he does our HOA, he's really good.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, he's a low, you know, he's a low man. So I feel like we owe him a chance, and he's got the insurance, he's got the pesticide, got somebody with a pesticide license that'll do the spraying. I mean,
How many people they have, do you know right off?
I think it's like 5. I mean, they're not a gigantic company, but he does. He's right down here, so if we have some kind of issue,
And they got workers'
when
comp.
when he comes in, you know, So I think it could be a good situation. If we could discuss this 2-year, 1-year, thing. I mean, I don't want to go through this process again.
I agree.
Personally.
I think best for the town and for the vendor, a 2 years more agreeable. After having conversations with many of the vendors, they all said 2 years to help on equipment cost and a guarantee. But we also made it very clear that we wanted a way to get out of the contract if either party was unsatisfied. And so, as long as we can get out of the contract, I think 2 years is acceptable.
Let me ask you a quick question. In the past, we've used 3 years, basically.
Could you speak into the microphone?
In the past, we've used 3 years. And one of the things when you were talking about the 2 versus the 1, is there any reason to have a 1 year, and if everything goes after the first year, have a 2 year after that automatically at the same level that they're doing the first year?
Well, I guess we could do it any way we wanted to. If we could do a 1 year and just as a council vote to extend the contract, or we could do a 2 year, so he has a little bit more assurance and we don't have to go through a bid process or a vote with an out. Or, I guess it all kind of comes out the same as long as, we have an out.
Yeah, and I was just
he has some
basing it on the
assurance of-
3 year.
Yeah, he has some assurance that he's not gonna be 3 months, but he goes out and buys a new mower
Oh, yeah.
or whatever, and in 3 months, we cancel on him. I know we don't need to do business like that either, so.
Well, I think we got that's an excellent price. It keeps us from having to do this again in a year. I know there's other people that would like to have the contract, but, everybody had a shot at it. So, I don't know if anybody, what's anybody thinking about 1 year? I think if he has to buy a lawnmower, if he has to go out and buy, a lawnmower or something to add on to his fleet, to do this, it's kind of hard to, on a 1 year.
And
Go
that,
2 years.
that was what I was saying, is that in the past, we've used 3 years. If you do a 1 year, then you're gonna be right back 12 months.
When'd
from
y'all
now
do a
doing the
3 year?
same thing.
I think a 2 year,
So 2 year minimum,
yeah. Well, I think a 2 year, and if we
do
like
3.
him, we could just vote at that point to continue. Yeah,
Yeah,
without rebidding.
yeah.
Okay. We have a motion, a second, any discussion?
We're gonna need Tom to put this to paper for us and
Right.
put some kind of I know you said one time you didn't really need an escape clause, but I'd kind of like to have one sitting there where somebody can see it.
No, and I made a note, I would recommend, either party can terminate the agreement upon 3 months' notice. A lot of people say 30 days, 60 days notice, but let's put the shoe on the other foot. If they give notice that, hey, they want to terminate the contract, give yourself 3 months to find somebody else. Well, it does the same for them, gives them 3 months to find another client. So I would say 3 months would be a good period of time.
now, as far as the other stuff that we've been having done, that's gonna be another day and time. I
As far
presume.
as far as mulch
All the other
goes, we can mulch and, snow, which we hadn't had to do snow in a year or two, but all that stuff is, we can either go to him and have him give us a price. If we want to get a second bid, we can do that.
Yeah.
But we've made it clear that is not accepted, that he'll automatically get those.
Right.
Those jobs based on price. So, we've left ourselves open on that, and, we can move forward however we see fit on that.
So we can just hold the same existing list of people that wrote in this time for some of
Yeah,
the other,
and
maybe bid that in a different way for a different
I'm gonna
type
tell
of
you, if you need
job.
mulch, from what I'm understanding, I haven't had it done. I know the guy one time that ran the truck, but there's a mulch company that actually has a truck that comes out where it's not labor intensive. They go out there and they spray it around and then they get out of here. And, it's not, you don't have 20 people out there hauling wheelbarrows of mulch all over the place, and it's supposed to be a whole lot cheaper. So when we all decide that that's what we wanna do is get mulch, and we'll start checking into it at that time, because that could fluctuate. A price today might not be good the next week, so, once we decide that's what we wanna go.
Okay,
We've got a list.
We have a
existing,
motion, and a
so
second, to approve the
use
2-year
that.
contract once for $24,000 annually. No further discussion, I'll call a question. Jimmy Landrith?
Aye?
Darren?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And Okay, next item, discussion on replacing ADP with Prime Pay. And I put that on the agenda. I am not happy at all with ADP's service. April the 8th, and I still don't have a valid W-2. And I believe Priscilla or Alicia or somebody called and they said it'd be another 6 or 8 weeks, so we probably won't get that till the 1st of June. And I talked to Alicia right before she left, and she said, there's another problem with ADP, and she said it had something to do with the workman's comp, but she didn't elaborate on it, and I never received anything until, in terms of what it was. But, I know they gave us some free service, but we got exactly what we paid for when, nobody has a, honest, W-2, and it's, almost the end of tax season. If it weren't for the coronavirus extension, we'd all be in trouble. So I make a motion that we replace ADP and go back to Prime Pay.
Excuse me. Park City got a message that neither Zoom nor YouTube is working.
Yeah, Bert just sent me a note.
I can check YouTube real quick while we're.
Can we call for a recess for just a second, Mr. Mayor?
Sure, let's take a 5 or 10 minute, however long it takes. I have no idea.
YouTube's
working just fine.
Working, but Zoom is not.
Okay.
Well, just stand by then.
If they're not wanting to talk, then they should just switch over to YouTube.
Is there a reason anybody knows why we're not?
We just had to sign in and see. Let me go over there and look at it. Can you pull up the link?
I'm working on it.
Send me an invite. Go right there, go. And click on invite.
Jim, it says the host has another meeting in progress. Is there another meeting?
Maybe we're still recording.
On the same link? I hope not.
Connected that way. Zoom looks like it's working.
No, the same subscription for Zoom.
Is our Zoom?
That'd be, yeah.
He could have the wrong link. Cause we're running a meeting right now. So, it sounds like he's got the wrong link to me because he's signed in on the wrong link and it's saying, hey, cause we're running the meeting right here. So can we,
The
my guess.
contact is on the agenda. He has a copy of that. He should be able to pull it up.
I'm clicking on that link and it just says the host has another meeting in progress.
Is it possible that you got a different address, Zoom address?
He's using the link on Town Hall.
When we set it up, we cut and pasted that whole thing to the.
I've got a text from another citizen that's got the same issue with Zoom, or she's watching.
Okay, all I can tell you is, they just need to switch over to YouTube, cause we can't fix it this far into it, cause we had to send out a new link by email and get big names.
That could be tomorrow.
Yeah, so just tell them to switch over to YouTube,
Yeah,
and if they wanna call in, they can
yeah,
call
so
in.
that's why I got no comments, obviously. He switched over to YouTube.
Can they not call in though through the YouTube thing? Can you set that up?
We did have that set up. I don't know if that was still, Derek, was that still available? Or they could
What's that?
call
I'm
in
sorry, I didn't
the
get your
phone
question.
thing?
What's that right there? Where it says telephone.
It's got it on here. Under number 2, look at number 2 on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they can talk back and forth. Okay, yeah, that's just a one-way vision. So no, basically.
Yeah, I'm gonna go play with it.
Phone number.
See what I can.
Going in the closet.
He gave us, dude, where's that book at?
You know, you're on the record.
With the,
Do you remember what that phone
Just
number
remember
was,
Santa's in
Derek?
that one. He's watching.
Oh, I wonder if it was on that email where we got that invoice. Where's my phone?
Do we have any other problems with ADP other than this?
Got it warmed up.
We had any other problems? Let's just go ahead with the AP, other than the two thing? Has there been any others?
Priscilla,
I'll ask
after
you
the
to make-
meeting, since we're on break, the bid with Excellence,
They did the whole year.
if I can get a copy of what they submitted, their bid,
I got it. I'll drop by here in the morning.
Or just send
can
it
you
to
shoot me an email with it?
Tom Allen,
Yeah.
if you can.
Yeah.
Just shoot me, because that way I need to put that with the contract that I will draft, and then, whoever,
Or you can drive it by here and I can scan it and send it to them.
I just got,
You don't have it.
yeah, I'll drop by here in the morning.
That is aggravating.
okay. And then, and whoever, I guess, that person's the contact person, I can reach out to them and I'll forward the contract to them. Because if they want to get started Monday, we'll get it to them.
And I've got their workman's comp and all in the same folder, so I'll drop it by to you.
Okay.
Let's see if we have that phone number.
Jim,
I just
Jim.
sit down.
7
Derek said,
days.
come here, please.
She turned it in Monday.
You got it, yeah. Yeah, Priscilla's got everything from everybody on council, no T's, so she's gonna give you back.
I talked to her today, and I told her I'd get with her if she wants to get, she has it kind of all together.
Here we go, there's Vic.
And I'll get with her and look it over before it goes out.
Cool. We're good. We should be good to.
So are we on with Zoom too?
We're good.
Did you restock it on the same code?
And now we need our clerk back.
You just use the same one that came back up?
Yeah, just click on it. All right, so we left off when you resume, have a motion, but it needs to be second.
I know. Okay, so we'll make sure, should we wait for Priscilla?
Yeah.
All right. Is that all that's there?
We're waiting on Priscilla. Is Vicky the only one on?
That's all that I see.
Bert Smith.
Oh, wait a minute, here's some. Bert, is Bert on? Let him in? Okay, Bert's on.
Right when that came out of my mouth, I was like,
What was wrong with it?
I don't know. Just click on the link and then clicked it again.
I mean, we copied and pasted the link straight to the email that we put on the agenda, so I don't know why it didn't work.
Okay, if everybody's ready, we took a recess, we'll reconvene as council. We had a motion to replace ADP with Prime Pay. We didn't have a second because we were interrupted with the technical problem. So do we have a second on that?
I'll second it so we can keep going.
Any discussion? What,
I can't see that, can you?
I can't read that.
Just gotta,
I know, Ms. Thacker has some updated information, if she could speak on that.
I do. I have reached back out to ADP again several times. I did receive an email back again today from Melissa. However, I have also contacted the North Carolina Department of Revenue, the North Carolina Department of Commerce, and the Internal Revenue Service, because I do have contacts with those agents that I can speak with personally. Patrick Freeman, who is with the Internal Revenue Service, he is the Eastern District over the, he's over the Eastern District. He's over Corporate and Auditing Compliant Department. And Beth King, who is the tax auditor for the North Carolina Department of Commerce. And Jacqueline McDonald, she is also a tax agent with the North Carolina Department of Revenue. They have all confirmed that the reasoning for, ADP is not the only company that is behind on doing corrected W-2s. The FFCRA, which was the Family First Coronavirus Respond Act that went into action last year, which allowed employees to not pay in Social Security and things like that throughout the year. Well, unfortunately, because that act was put into place at a rapid pace and not really thought out well, it has caused a lot of issues with nationwide for people having to have their W-2s corrected. So it's not just, even though our W-2s are not that issue. That is also another reason why, it's not just because of COVID, why the date was extended for filing tax returns. It's also because of all these corrected W-2s that have to get done throughout nationwide. Of course, it is a factor along with a lot of the COVID factors as well. As far as the ADP, the other two issues that you mentioned, I've heard nothing about that, and no one has contacted me through ADP with those two other issues that you spoke of earlier. I'm not sure where those,
Alicia got an email from somebody, and I have no idea, and I did not get a copy on that, so I
ADP?
don't know. I have no idea, but she said we had another issue with ADP.
okay, I'm not aware of that, and I've not been made aware of that, but I will check into that. So I understand your frustration because it is frustrating and it's extremely irritating because I too, for what I do for a living, have had a lot of corrected W-2s come across my desk as well. And I filed returns and then people have called and said, oops, I got a corrected W-2. This year, unfortunately, it's just been an unfortunate year all the way across the board with the governing agencies all the way across the board. But as far as, you know, the portals and inputting the payroll and everything has worked really smoothly with the payroll. There's not been, and ADP doesn't handle our workman's comp, so I don't know where that email came from. But as far as everything else has been really, really good. They've been good to work with. But I do understand the frustration in getting the W-2s getting the W-2s back in our hands corrected. And our hands are tied along with a lot of other companies out there right now, so, but I
Well,
understand
I
it.
mean, even if we have to hire a local person, somebody who we can go sit down and talk face to face. You know, ADP is a big company. To me, they haven't given us very good response. And I'm really upset with that. And the fact that every person in here may well have to file an extension bothers me a lot. I think we owe our employees and council better service than that.
Now, Kim, are you saying that that's not ADP's fault, that they're not being able to change this?
No, our W-2s is on ADP. They need to get that corrected because they also have to correct the fourth quarter reports as well. I have been in contact with the North Carolina Department of Commerce because I was contacted by Keith Brooks last week in regards to that, and it has to do with the fourth quarter. Long story short, what happened was ADP, when we switched over to ADP, they were only supposed to do our W-2s from November 20th through 12/31. And what happened was they did our W-2s from 1/1/2020 to 12/31/2020. Prime Pay also did our W-2s from 1/1 through 11/6. So I was also told through two of the agents that if it would still be okay to use the full year of the W-2 because your numbers are your numbers.
Right.
And by the time that those got sent in and the IRS even had time to even look at anything, because everything's electronic. And by the time they got ready to look at everything, the corrected would be out there. But, so that's what happened there. And one of the agents even asked me, yes ma'am, one of the agents even said to me, why don't you request for Prime Pay to go back and do amendments on their end? And I said, well, because they're gonna have to amend first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. They would have to amend the whole year. It would be much easier for ADP to amend and do theirs because it would just be one amendment.
But you're saying that we could use that W-2?
That's what I
ADP
was told by
right
the
now?
agents,
Right.
two
The-
agents.
The problem you're gonna have though, Kim and Jimmy, you've got two different companies reporting, and so they're overstating your income by 80%.
That's correct.
And so, you know, Uncle Sam may say, you know, Jimmy, why didn't you report, you know, and the other 80%? Because we got a thing from ADP and one from Prime Pay. And so that's, you know, I don't want to get penalties and have
won't
to
get
go through an
Well,
audit.
that's what she
somebody
was,
else's
that's,
mistake.
that's what she was just
You
saying.
won't get
Well, the
penalties.
mistake's been made. The mistakes made, you're the finance officer and the budget officer.
Both.
If you were, this was your call, what would you do?
As far as,
What we're doing tonight, changing.
if it were me, I mean, I would not, you're gonna, I mean, it would be an issue with anyone at this point across the board. To my that's why I contacted these other these, governing departments to find out, are we the only ones in the country that are having this issue, getting these corrected W-2s? And they said because of the FFCRA, that is what is causing, because a lot of people are having to get corrected W-2s.
But what would you do if you were making the decision yourself?
I would leave things alone and just wait on my corrected W-2 to come in. I mean, because if you start, stirring around and trying to switch around, you're just gonna have more, that's just my opinion.
Could have more mistakes.
Can I bring up a possible solution? At this point, on the actual grounds of what we're looking at here, we understand the supporting information.
Speaking of.
Why don't we table this discussion, give it 60 days, 30 to 60 days, see where we are then? And that way, you will have been able to find out about the workers' comp inquiry from the state, I guess it is, or some information. I
Where
don't.
does that
We
come
have,
from?
we have access to that email. We can just go back through her email and see what that was.
Yeah, and that could have been a different department question.
So we'll do that.
So, to me, right now, if it's in the process, I don't know that in this town and this dot on the map that we can do a thing for the next month or two. I would say, Mr. Attorney, have you got anything to yay or nay on that? Just, when it comes back, we'll just pick it up and run with it, and get updated.
I think the issue's customer service here. We're talking about what we have to correct, but this is customer service 101, and it hasn't been there. I was an advocate for switching to ADP, but I've also seen the number of inquiries. And just because I was an advocate to change to them, now, I'm not gonna stubbornly agree that we have to be with them. I've seen the lack of customer service. So,
That's what bothers me.
I agree with Theron, though. I was gonna make that motion as well. I don't wanna cancel on them right now and then that delay our W-2s any further.
Well,
So, by complicating it.
We got
So
one motion on the floor.
Theron then has made a motion to continue this indefinitely.
Table it, basically.
Ken,
Yes.
do you second that?
I'll second
then?
that.
Okay, so
Now
that's a
we
substitute motion,
discuss.
which is now
Now we
on the
discuss.
floor.
Well, either way, I think that, and I agree with Derek, I agree with Jim over here also on the same thing, and the more information we get, the more we're understanding why we're where we are 3 to 6 months later than we thought we'd be with these different figures coming up. We're being able to break it down and see what this really means.
Okay,
You're duplicating this, but we don't have enough of that. So they're gonna have to do their work before
Right.
we can move any further whatsoever. So
Right.
I would say just table it till she gets more definitive, and then we will make a decision separately if we want to change vendors.
Right.
But the IRS and the numbers that are out there are pretty much written in stone at this point, I would imagine.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
we
I
have-
think that if we just get our W-2s and get them right.
Well, that's it.
Then if you guys wanna change,
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
so be it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this. Any discussion? I call the question, Jimmy?
Aye.
Darren? Derek?
no.
Jim?
Aye.
And I vote no. But it passes 3-2. Next item on the agenda, new business, discuss employee.
The table in it, passed 3-2, I guess.
Right.
Oh, were you a nay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 1, 2, 3,
3.
4.
3-2.
He was a
Yeah.
no, he was a no.
Oh, you were a no, okay.
Eric and John agreed.
Well,
That's why,
I make a,
no wonder I'm confused.
that's why threw me a loop there. I didn't know what to do.
I need some smelling
I
salts.
feel, wait a minute, I feel the vapors.
But I'm definitely will come back with you on that later. I wanna get my W-2 right before we. It's just a thought process.
okay.
But, that next one's mine, Mr. Mayor. So, in some discussions with Priscilla, the two, I'll call them, quasi-insurance policies that her and Alicia were under. We found out, when we tried to contact about Cobra, that they are not true insurance policies. And they are more of a supplemental plan. And I remember back when we first took them out, which was our first meeting, and Priscilla making the comment that she was concerned about how it would affect her because she was on her husband's insurance. So I had a conversation with Priscilla, how much does she use this supplemental plan? And she said not very often, and it wasn't that huge of a benefit to her. So what my proposal is that we end our relationship on these supplementals, and we take the money that we're spending on it, and we increase Priscilla's salary to help her offset the other benefits that she is paying for already, which are some colonial stuff.
Well, that's her that's pre-tax, that was their choice,
Right.
that's,
Right, but
you're doing the.
so my motion is to give her a $3 an hour raise to end the relationship with the supplemental insurance company and take that money, which equals $3 an hour. So it should be a wash on the money. $3 an hour raise to compensate her, for her work as the acting clerk right now, and as well as to go toward her benefits. And that was the true intention of that, that when we took that out, but it's just not really helping her at this point. So, and if she wants to elaborate on her thoughts on that, we'll be glad to hear from her. All right, I mean, is that consistent with what we talked about? So that would take her from $15.40 an hour to $18.40 an hour, which is equivalent to $6,720 per year, which is just about what we're paying for that insurance policy that she's not using.
What about Alicia? We agreed to pay her insurance, Cobra, through the end of the year. We didn't.
Oh, that's true. We did agree to pay, well, which we can, and we will.
We will.
So we would continue, but the plan for her would determine.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Just to clarify,
What did you say those numbers were? Did you say 60-something thousand?
No, I said currently, so if we give Priscilla a $3 an hour raise, it's $6,720 per year, which is
Okay.
about what we're paying for the supplemental policy.
Well, we just heard it. I'm sitting there thinking, I can't figure that one out.
I promise it's in the budget.
Oh, I'm not, I know it's in the budget
All
because it's the same
$5
amount of money.
Yeah.
I mean, when y'all did that, you really it was kind of a cheat to her because she didn't need it. And we was talking about a raise, and that was in lieu of a raise, and I don't know what all went on, but she ended up getting insurance that she didn't need for a raise.
I think this will be a better position for her.
Okay, we have a motion, I'll second. Any discussion?
I have a question. When will, if this is voted on and approved, will this begin the pay period we're in now, or does it begin today? I mean, tomorrow?
I don't know.
I would say, let's, whenever we can end the relationship with the supplemental place, and then at that point, we can start maybe in the next pay period. Let's just say the next pay period, and that way that gives us a time to end the relationship there. And
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Jimmy?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jim?
aye.
And aye. Discussion vote for planning board to consider text amendments to town ordinance submitted by Land Solution to Stokesdale citizens.
Mr. Mayor, I added this to the agenda. This is somewhat of a unique set of circumstances for the town of Stokesdale. To my knowledge, I think we rarely receive a text amendment from the public, and a text amendment is just to change our ordinances. However, we had Mr. Bill Greco of Land Solutions. He's representing 2 Stokesdale citizens, and they have made 3, they have already paid for, and they are requesting 3 different text amendments for our ordinance. So I believe, per our town ordinance and North Carolina statutes, that the proper procedure would be for the planning board to hear this via a public hearing and act as an advisory board for town council and make a recommendation, and then town council would also have a public hearing at our next meeting, which would be, in May. So just, this is in no way, shape, or form an endorsement of the text and amendments. This is just, I'm gonna make a motion for the planning board to have a public hearing and act as an advisory role for town council for the 3 text amendments that Mr. Greco has paid for and submitted to the town of Stokesdale. And for the public record, can I get a second on that motion first, and then,
Jim Rigsby will second.
okay. And then for the record, I'd like to read what the text amendments are, just for the public. And proposed text amendment number 1 is in section 2.1.7, and the definition general CH, it's the definition of a major subdivision. Our current ordinance text reads, a subdivision involving more than 4 lots or requiring public streets for access to interior property, or requiring extension of public sewer or water line, or requiring a waiver or variance from any ordinance, any requirement of this ordinance. So that's the current. What has been proposed for the planning board to hear at the hearing is that the definition of a major subdivision become a subdivision involving more than 4 lots or requiring new public streets for access to interior property, or requiring extension of public sewer or water main lines. The difference there is it omits the requiring of that if a minor subdivision receives a waiver or a variance, that it would become a major. So that is the proposed amendment number 1. Proposed amendment number 2, in our town ordinance for RS30 residential single-family district, it states that any development in this district will be required to connect to the Stokesdale water service system. In the proposed ordinance text amendment, it reads, the RS30 residential single district is primarily intended to accommodate moderate density, single-family detached dwelling lots with access to public water service. The overall gross density in RS30 is typically 1.3 units per acre or less. Any proposed major subdivisions as defined in section 2-1 that require a zoning map amendment to utilize the RS30 residential single-family district shall be required to connect to the town of Stokesdale public water system. Basically, what I infer that means is that any property zoned currently RS30 would be exempt from having to tie on to that water system. So that's for a public hearing. And then the third text amendment he has would be essentially adding RS30 to the development ordinance 5-13 to 6, requiring all future major subdivisions to connect to the town of Stokesdale water system. So I know that was a lot of words. Just wanted to enter what those text amendments were, so the public knows these public hearings will come. And again, my motion was just to have the planning board to have these public hearings on the text amendment on their April the 22nd meeting. I think that's the date. Chris, can y'all help me out?
Just say it.
Yes.
April 22nd, their next planning board meeting. So with that,
We'll wait to hear from it, right?
yeah, so this is just a vote to have the public hearing.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Seconded.
One of the things that we're talking about, general statute,
Put that mic up to John.
what is it, 50-2, the one where we had to make changes by July the 1st, and you were gonna do a review on our policy 50-6 or something?
160D.
Yeah, 160D. And he was gonna make some proposed changes to ours. So what I'd like to do is incorporate those and have one public hearing on all zoning matters. I've got a couple things I wanna add to change the requirement some of the requirements for flag lots. So I'd like to do them all at one time if we can. So I don't know when Tom will be ready with his, sometime before July 1st, I know.
Well, I hear what you're saying. I mean, going back to good customer service, we do technically have a customer that paid on March 1st, $250 to be heard. And, you know, he's expecting to be heard, and I think we owe that to him. We took his money.
We have a motion and a second.
Do you think that he might be open to us doing that too? Because it would save us some money. I mean, I want customer service too, I absolutely do.
Yeah,
How long will it be before, you know, I mean, we're definitely not gonna be ready for the next planning board meeting to do this.
yeah, I mean,
So we're gonna have a planning board meeting and then a council meeting to follow, at least 3 days probably afterwards, even if we called a special call meeting, to approve it or to take
Hey,
recommendations.
don't you have to have a council meeting, and then the next month you have a actual vote? Is that right, Tom? Unless you get depends on the vote, you gotta have
I think it
a
depends on the vote.
supermajority.
Well, now, the other part, that-
I'm not sure about a
Or-
supermajority, I'd have to look that up, but,
I'm thinking to take a 4-to-1 vote
yeah,
which is a super,
on the first reading,
on the first reading.
yeah. And if it doesn't pass by, by that 2/3, I think. So,
the other part about that,
text amendment.
the other part about that too is we have to announce,
I think that's right.
publish.
But whatever that
But
is
for
what
us,
it
a
is.
supermajority, that's,
But yes, in answer to the question, it goes to the planning board, it's referred to the planning board. They will have a public hearing, they'll make a recommendation, either as is, make changes, whatever, it'll come back to the council, and then the council will make a decision
now,
under whatever
the,
those guidelines are.
Tom, what's the advertising on a public hearing for planning board? Is it 30 days?
Yeah.
It's more than 10 days at notice.
No.
It's the same thing.
What's, to get the publication out for a hearing, on a
It's,
zoning matter,
And you gotta go to the paid people down at the News
It's
and
10.
Record.
yeah, Priscilla, how far in advance do you have to send that? I mean, you gotta do it notice, don't you, have you
10
been
days.
doing that?
10 days.
Yeah,
No,
so-
Derek
so-
has been,
so Oliver Bass sent us an email this week and said we gotta advertise for a public hearing for the planning board for something that Mr. Bass is doing. So, that needs to run no later than Monday, the
and then
12th. So
Yeah.
it's 10 days,
10 days from
Yes.
that.
yes. So
So
if
you're-
this passes tonight, this needs to be emailed to the News and Record tomorrow so that it runs on Monday.
Yeah. Because Oliver
And
said
this
it
would,
might go in Mondays.
right, and this would run with what Oliver has
Yes.
as well.
And so we have to have the language of the old and the new, I believe.
Well, he's got it right here.
Yes.
This is what they're,
But Oliver may add something in terms of whatever, I don't.
that's a question I've got. They're the ones asking for this. So, I mean, we don't change language, we just vote it up or down. And then whatever Oliver says, whoever has to say, we decide if, I mean, that's what they're not asking us to change anything.
Yeah, surely.
And I'm not saying I'm for that. I know they're asking for a change, but what I'm saying, they're not asking for anybody, they're asking for these changes. So what Oliver, I mean, if Oliver says something, I mean, that just goes in our decision whether to vote yes or no for it, I would think.
No,
You can make you can take their recommendation from the planning department or
Right.
from the planning board, or you can change it any way you wanna change it.
sure.
So we can change it.
Yeah, after the.
We're not just acting on what they're asking.
They're
You
advisory.
can tweak it,
Now, I'm talking about these folks are the ones asking and paying for the hearing.
right. You don't have to vote just up or down, you can tweak the language or change it, you know, like, I think one of these was talking about, the RS 30. I know one example that it popped in my head, they're saying that anybody who's gonna ask for a zoning map amendment, which means if somebody's gonna ask for their property to be rezoned to RS 30, going forward, they've gotta connect, so they know. Anybody who already is RS-30 wouldn't have to. You could also put a grandfather clause in there. You could come back and say, well, actually, let's just say that anybody who's currently RS-30 has 2 years. They don't have to connect to get a building, to start with their building plans or something like that. So you can change it and create a grandfather situation. He's just saying this proposal is set up to say, if you're currently RS-30, the requirement to connect doesn't apply to you. That's the way I've read his language.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're not, it doesn't matter right now what they're saying, it's just a process, what we gotta go through. So we could change it, or the planning board can make recommendations to
Yeah,
change it.
exactly.
Okay, cause the only thing I was thinking, they paid for it, and, so, okay. But it would be nice, it won't be no way for you to get that stuff in that you were talking about, though, in order to do one
Mine
here.
won't be ready by Monday.
Well, you could have one.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to have it considered at the April 22nd planning board meeting. No further discussion. I'll call the question. Jimmy?
Aye.
Darren? Darren?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And I vote no. Next item on the agenda, staffing discussion on qualification of initial employment. And that requires us to go into closed session under 143, 318.11, A6, to consider qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of employment, or condition of initial employment of an individual public officer or employee, or prospective public office or employee, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against any individual public officer or employee. General personal policies issues may not be considered in a closed session. A public body may not consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, appointment, or removal of a member of the public body or another body, and may not consider or fill a vacancy among its own membership except in an open meeting. Final action taken on appointment or discharge or removal by a public body having final authority for the appointments or discharge or removal shall be taken in an open meeting. So I make a motion that we recess as a town council and reconvene immediately in closed session.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Call a question. Jimmy?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And I. We want to make sure we disconnect everybody from, do we want to have it here or in the,
One there.
From there.
Okay.
We would just leave everything going as is.
Can you whistle for 15 minutes, Mark? Can you whistle for 15 minutes?
We'll have to come back in, and if there's something from that has to be put on the record, it will be, but otherwise.
yes,
I need,
yeah, bring in the recorder.
and you, do we go?
I have no idea.
Court, every one of us will leave it sitting out here.
Do we go?
Do you go in?
Yes, or
I
do
don't
we
know
stay?
what
Do we
the
go?
meeting is. Why don't you,
notes. You can go home.
I can go home? You only have to tell me
Where's the
when.
recorder?
I've got it.
Okay, then stop it.
Back to work.
And we have to say closed session for today.
Here, you do it. I stopped it.
Closed session at 8:15 on 4/8/21.
When my accountant did my taxes, he said to me, you can't imagine the mess I put this whole thing in. He's not even sure if he says, he showed me we're back in New York and he was going through it. He had on his desk a pile of clients, had to be this high. And he says, I can't do anything with this.
Nope, there's a lot behind me. There's a lot I can't even follow because of all this stuff going on.
See, what they never should do is, they don't understand, John, I know John take a precedent with this, but this is like an unusual situation.
It is very
Just gotta let it
unusual.
come, because to me, it makes no sense to make a change in the middle of confusion. You're only gonna make it,
Yeah, it's just gonna make it worse
Worse.
right now, that's why I'm glad, then after we get our W-2s or whatever,
Then you can do
yeah, they can do what they want, but I
well,
just,
ADP, it's funny, my wife's company had ADP. I think he's off. I have no clue.
I muted this, I'm gonna send that. I did mute this one. This one's muted. Oh my gosh, is that rain?
I don't know.
I think it's muted now.
Is that the incoming or the outgoing?
I'm assuming that would mean mute if we have it, like that.
I would think.
But I did mute this one too. I muted that one. This one back here, no. Don't realize they're not muted. You might wanna let them know. But yeah, it has been a mess.
It's been a real mess.
It has really been a mess, and I have filed tax returns, and I've had people call me back and say, I'm sorry, I've gotta correct the W-2, or now I got this in the mail, or they've changed the rules 3 different times mid-tax season. It's been horrible
Well,
this
this is the
year.
problem, it's the problem when he's, and everyone does it, we do it here too. People make decisions and they never think about when you push the first domino, what's gonna happen to the one in the middle and the one at the end.
Yep.
And then,
That's what I said, they pushed this thing through so fast, and they did not think it out,
right,
they didn't think it through, that's the problem.
I know, it's just typical.
And it makes it hard for everybody, and you know what? His frustration is valid.
Right.
I get it, I understand it. And the customer service, the communication has been a
Well, I
little
can only
difficult.
imagine, think about, you can only imagine the grief that the company's been through.
Yeah,
You know, I mean,
I know they're frustrated.
and I can't imagine how many phone calls they get on a daily basis. So it's, just it's a domino effect.
And, and I know the Melissa girl that I've been working with on this, I know that she's like, oh Lord, here's that coming back right again. But it's because I'm getting, I'm doing my job. I get emails and say, where the W-2s was wrong. So I send another email and say, hey Melissa, just check it in. And she'll, and I may not hear anything back from her like today.
Well, I
It
don't
may be
think,
a day or so.
John's concerned, he says, well, talk about penalties. I don't, that's not gonna happen, because you know what? They realize the fiasco that's going on. I mean, I got my tax return in 5 days. We did it electronically. 5 days later, the money dropped and I couldn't believe it. And I filed it a week ago, week and a half ago. So it's just amazed how quickly it rolled back, But they just, I can't even imagine what's going on.
It's crazy, and I, and I meet, when I saw that, because I didn't really look at the agenda until yesterday, and I thought, oh crap. I knew that it was, coming. But, again, I share the frustration, I understand the frustration,
Right.
because it's what I do for a living.
But you also have, like I said, you also have to think about, you can look at the bubble we're living in today, okay? This is not normal times, I mean, everything is like turned upside down. And, I mean, they're lucky that they didn't completely shut the whole government down.
Right.
I mean, so it's, because I get Social Security, and it's funny, because it was a couple months ago, I got an email from the Social Security Department saying that due to some issues going on, the checks would be like a day later. I mean, it didn't really matter to me, but I'm thinking to myself, people that need the money, now if you normally get it on a Friday, that means you're not gonna get it till Monday, and, but I'm just glad it comes and, and it just shows up and that's the end of it. Even dealing with the banks here sometimes is a royal pain in the neck. You wanna switch a bank, it becomes, like I have one bank still in New York where my Social Security drops into, and I just haven't gotten around to it, because when I talked to the bank then, he said, well, I have to make an appointment, it may take a little time, we don't know how long it's gonna take. I said, you know what, just leave it where it is right now, and 6 months from now, when things calm down, I'll go to the bank, and we'll figure out what to do. I don't wanna make a switch and then find out that, oh, it didn't end up where it's supposed to go, and then try to figure out where it went.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
because that's been,
My wife has been fighting for 2 years, okay? They switched payroll companies. And the first payroll company, okay, didn't report the proper income. Because they switched, and the first company never sent a W-2. So my wife got the W-2, the first 4 months of the year, she never realized that because nobody ever told them, it's all direct deposit. So she didn't realize that they switched companies. So when she filed it, we filed the income in it. I said, do I say anything? He says, yeah, well, things were a little tough this year, I think I made a little less. Well, they underestimated a whole quarter. We've been trying to get Social Security, not Social Security, the IRS, get this fixed. And it's like, well, this is now going on the third year. And I've said to her finally,
did it this year,
I said, you know what, at this point, I said, you might as well just kiss that goodbye. I mean, God knows if they'll ever fix it. And if it becomes 3 or 4 years down the road, or 5 years, then who's gonna find it? We're gonna find it. It's just a fiasco.
well, you have to think if they even reported, if they even turned those W-2s in.
Well, that's what it looks like, they didn't.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
Right.
they won't catch it
Right.
unless that company ever,
Gets
is that
audited or
company
something.
still open?
Right,
Now, if that company gets a letter saying we did not receive your W-2s,
right. But who
then
knows
they
how?
have to submit them.
Right, but what a fiasco that'll be.
Yeah, but I have seen that
Yeah.
happen a lot, as far as, and switching the companies like this. And that's why I thought I made it plain and clear when we switched, only do 11/20 through 12/31. But,
Right, yeah.
mistakes happen. I mean, we're human.
Well,
Things happen.
that stuff goes on, but
And
it's
this day
probably,
and time, we have to have patience this day and time.
right.
I mean, you don't have to, but you're gonna make your own life miserable.
Well, that's what happens,
Yeah.
because, there's one, you can't, to get yourself aggravated over things you can't control,
Right,
you're only gonna make yourself
Right.
sick, and
Right.
you're gonna get no place with it,
right.
you know?
And that is why I contacted my 3 wing people, because I have 3 of them, that I depend, because if I have issues, I always depend on these 3
Right,
people.
so right.
And I will always call them and say, look, okay, I have this issue going on. And when Keith Brooks contacted me last week about the unemployment issue, because I knew what it was, I knew exactly when he called me and he said, I'm contacting you about the town of Stokesdale, about the fourth, I said, I know exactly what you're contacting me about. And I explained it, and he said, yep, you know exactly what I'm contacting you about. And I said, we're waiting on ADP to fix those reports. So he gave me an extension on that, and he said, well, we'll wait, I'm putting a note in here that we're waiting on the reports, and he said, this year's a disaster.
See, I think sometimes when an election council operate, is that, it's like Derek says, we want good customer service, we want to operate in a hurry. Some things just take time. And you know what? And it's just a process.
Yeah.
And to get, like Dick Jones will bum down over whatever happened, but you know what? Why get all in an uproar over it? It's just, we can get on the phone and argue with the people at the IRS. That's gonna get any place. You're gonna talk to some clerk who's got no control over anything. I learned that a long time ago. And all you're gonna do is this woman's gonna hang up the phone after you and say, okay, so no jackass. And that's it. That's why I never would, I had some medical thing, the insurance company billed me on something. I had surgery back in September, and they billed me like $9 a change or something. So I called up and I said, what was it? He said, some stupid medicine they gave me wasn't coming. So I'm thinking, this is like nuts, you know what? I pay the premiums, all this good. Then I thought to myself, it's $8.75. For me to get on the phone and try to argue with the insurance company, I'm gonna be sitting on the phone for an hour, you'll be the next call, you're only 45 minutes wait. And then they finally, 45 minutes go by, and what happens? You get disconnected. And now you're even more angry. So for $9, I just said, you know what? Have lunch, and that's the end of it. Kiss it goodbye.
Yep.
Pay the bill.
Yep. And I have told my clients, because I'm behind this year.
Right.
And it is because I've gotten these returns done, think I'm good with them. This person calls me and says, oh, hold on, I've gotta get you
So that, right,
this.
so that puts you all back.
Plus, I'm sure most people know, but my office had COVID in January.
I know that.
I had COVID,
Right.
and I was pretty sick from it. Thank God I have recovered. I get my second shot Saturday.
Oh, good.
So I've already got my first one, I get my
Did
second
you have any
one Saturday.
reaction to the first shot?
I did.
Because they say
um,
people that have it tend to get a reaction more so. I got a reaction to the second shot. Nothing serious, but like
My
half a day.
first one I was really tired,
That's what I was.
and, my body ached like it did when I had
I
COVID.
felt like I had done a workout weightlifting
No,
for like a
mine, I
month.
felt like I was hit by that, like I could not move. Oh my gosh, and I thought, oh no, here we go again, because I was that way for 3 solid days when I had COVID. But they said the second one, I'm gonna kick my butt, so, and I get it Saturday, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
another reason why I'm like, okay, thank you for extending tax season for the month, because if it's doing the 15th, I'd be like,
Well, I heard on the news the other day, yesterday was, because a friend of mine works in Washington also said that they're thinking about pushing it off even further.
I
because
heard that.
they're still having, he said they were having some processing issues to get it to it.
It is issues, it's issues on across the board.
With all the money they're spending, I don't know why this year they just didn't say, you know what, don't file.
Everybody just take it, just take a break, just take a year off.
They're
I mean,
they're
oh my
throwing
God.
money out like there's no tomorrow.
I
and,
know.
You know, it
I
just,
know, but no, and I heard the same thing, and, because someone asked me, I think last week or something, because they still had not received some of their documentation, kind of like what, we're waiting on here. And they were like, well, what in the world is gonna happen if you don't? I
You
said,
have to think.
we'll file an extension, it's gonna be okay.
right.
I'll look
Yeah,
at my.
nobody, during these times, nobody's gonna lock you up and no one's gonna,
No, we'll
They-
file an extension, and you normally owe money, we'll normally see what your average is that you normally owe them.
Right.
If it's $1,500, we'll just go ahead and send them $1,500 for the extension.
right,
Then we'll file the extension, then we'll file the return on the
right,
stuff.
right, because it'll all balance out anyway.
Yeah,
Eventually.
there's nothing that we can, do about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. There were returns that I had to hold because the marketplace insurance and the unemployment.
Yeah, that was another mess up, wasn't it?
Yeah, the unemployment and then the marketplace insurance had things put on hold, which they finally got that to push through. But I told somebody, I said, you can't expect to change the law 3 different times
In
mid-tax
the
season.
middle, this is the part I don't get, it's bizarre to me. It's like, when these people think this stuff together, didn't somebody like, think about it, it's like tax season? I mean, that's like changing, the marketing in a giant department store in the middle of Christmas season, 2 weeks before Christmas,
No, I don't think about those things.
Because
And
the
you-
people that are making these decisions are not the ones doing the work. And
That's
they,
right.
they don't see what the effect is.
I said, what irritated me so bad is, well, first of all, I don't talk politics, because I'm neither or, but, I'm not, I'm independent, because I like both, but I'm lean more towards one way, however. But, when the Obamacare came out, that was pushed really fast. We
That's
had
right.
issues at the
There was all
beginning.
kinds of problems with that, I remember.
Yes, now, but when Trump came in and decided he was gonna stop penalties
Right.
for not having insurance,
That must have had effect.
that was way more of an issue
Yeah.
than it was.
But you didn't hear too much about that.
No, but that was way more of an issue, because what happened was when he didn't do it, but when Congress passed all that or whatever, saying you didn't have to pay the penalties, you didn't have the insurance, then what happened then is these people that were made to do insurance, what do you think they did? They canceled their insurance,
Right,
because they didn't have to have it.
right,
So what did our insurance do? Mine did, I don't know what yours did.
yeah,
Mine went up,
mine went up,
everybody's went up.
right,
So, that wasn't great.
I know.
It might have been great for the ones who didn't have to have it anymore. Think that.
Well,
It
this is the
wasn't great
problem.
for me.
You're right, and it's the whole problem with everything is that it's like, they canceled the pipeline, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you see what's going on with gas prices? Okay? And they say, well, it has no impact. What do you mean it has no impact? They're still moving gas, they're just moving it by truck.
Mm-hmm.
So don't you think it costs more money to move it by truck or train or whatever they're gonna move it? Okay, because it's still contracts to buy the oil, so they're just gonna figure, so now we went through Virginia last week. Virginia used to be like 20 cents a gallon cheaper. Virginia was, the other day I was in there, was $2.99 for regular, okay? And I said, that's weird, and it's usually been cheaper. We went to New York. New York was like $3.19, okay? Pennsylvania was $3.25, and it's like, it used to be cheaper. Jersey was $3.10 or something like that. It's like crazy, and even here, you see the prices, I mean, it's like the stock market. Every day I look at the gas prices, it keeps going up. So obviously, and now they're talking about that we want to start importing oil from the Middle East again. So what do you think it's going to do? And to put people that had a job,
Yeah.
okay? Now, I mean, I don't know, did they fire all those people not working anymore? And obviously, and I laugh at that. this area, and you were working here as a farmer, whatever you're doing, and someone said to you, oh, we're gonna retrain you to be a whatever, okay, but you gotta move to California. People aren't gonna pick up and move, okay? It's not that simple. Yeah, if you're 18 years old, you know what, yeah, you get in your car and you drive over there. But if you got your family here, you got kids in school, there's just, nobody thinks of the secondary, tertiary effects on everything they do. It just sounds good, let's just do it. Like a good example, the governor of New York, I was on the police department, the governor of New York signs a safe act bill for guns. You cannot have a magazine in a gun more than 7 rounds, okay? Make a whole big thing, signs the bill, everything's wonderful. I say to my commander one day, I said, you know, we carry guns with 12 rounds. I said, I looked at the bill, and there's nothing in there for exemptions for law enforcement. So it's gotta be. So I said, well, maybe I missed it. Get a chance to look at it. So the next thing, 2 days later, I hear in the news that the police union there is screaming because every police officer in the state of New York is walking around with an illegal handgun because the law said you can't have more than 7 rounds, and they have 12-round guns. Okay, so you would think that when they wrote the law, somebody would have said, oh, by the way, let's exempt police. So of course they had to have another emergency meeting, they had all those people get together, they voted on it, they finally modified it, but it took them 3 weeks to do it. And it's like, you're an idiot. When you sit down and figure out the law, maybe you should think about
The longevity.
what other impact's gonna have.
Right, you need to think about the longevity of some of these things, you know, and I'm not saying,
And from a tax standpoint, what you guys are involved in, I can't even imagine. I mean, there's some of the stuff that goes on. I mean,
it's crazy, and you know, and especially with, you know, what irritates me the most is everybody tries to make everything into politics, turn it into politics. And I'm like, you know, okay, first of all, don't come to my office and think we're gonna talk politics, because we're not.
Right, right.
Because I don't do that.
Yeah.
So, and we're not gonna talk religion, we're not gonna talk
Yeah,
politics.
because I'm very, very picky who I talk with, because over this last year or two,
Oh, man.
I've lost a lot of people, people I know for years, that have gone off the deep end, and it's like, I don't talk to them anymore, because I don't wanna say, how you doing, and now somebody says, oh, you know, that stupid president that's doing this and that, you know, and I don't care about that, okay? I mean, you know, I'm retired, I'm lucky, thank God, in the COVID, we're living a good life down here, things are comfortable. Could it be better? Could always be better. Could be a whole lot worse, okay? And you know what? I don't wanna watch the news, I don't listen to this, it aggravates me.
Yes.
I don't need it. My wife listens to me all the time, she says to me, I can't believe it. Every time I watch you watching television, all you're watching is like free TV. You watch the 60s reruns. I said, you know why? Because I enjoy watching brainless television. Because I put it on, I laugh, it reminds me when I was a kid, and when I turn it off, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't turn it off, and go, oh, geez, I'm not like
Yeah.
agitated.
Because that's what it's done to
It's
people.
made
I do
everybody-
not, even my parents, that it's just like,
Anyway, but yeah, so I try to stay out of that. Some people I'll have some conversations with, because I know that we can talk and get into a little heated discussion, but we walk away, we're okay. That's one of the things I like about Jimmy. Jimmy and I can sometimes, we've gone battle head to head sometimes, but when it's over, it's like we shake hands and it's over. John sometimes he gets over it, it's like, my God, it's like, it becomes like a personal vendetta. And I say, you know what? My mother, one thing I have to say about my mom, may she rest in peace, my mom was one of very antagonistic, argumentative persons. But my mother, you could have a fight with her, and you would think that you'd have to call the police because someone's gonna get murdered. And when the discussion was over, my mother would say, "We're out for dinner," and it was like she turned a switch, and it was just like done, and we could walk away from it, and you know, and my father used to get aggravated. He's like, "I can't. How can you like calm down now? You screaming at each other." But that's where my mother was, and it was okay because we could argue in the moment and then compartmentalize it, and it was done. And today the problem is everybody takes things so damn personally.
everything is so personal.
So I try to stay away from that now because it's gotten to the point where I don't want to. I mean, I don't want to lose friendships. I know people of 40 and 50 years over something I can't control. I can't control what's going on in the border. Okay, I can't control some nonsense that's going on there. I'm going to sit here and argue with you, and I know you since 1960. Okay, we went to school together, and now you're going to hate me. We're never going to talk to each other again because over something that I got no control over.
That's what I told people, you know,
care what party you're with. I don't care. I like you because I like you as the person that I've known you to be all of these years or whatever. But if you're gonna let a year or 2 years flip you
Flip you.
and something like that, then
Well, the other
you've
problem-
got other issues that it brings me.
The other problem that I find, and my wife always says, and I agree with this, is that when did it become not okay to have an intelligent conversation and disagree with someone and respect their opinion and then just walk away from it? Now, there's been times.
Several years.
Exactly. I mean, there's been times when I've had some pretty heated discussions with people, and I may not agree with some of the political opinions or whatever they think, but you know what? If you're my friend for all these years, if we, a great example, I have a friend of mine who I ride with a motorcycle, and he's a black guy, and we went, I only met him a couple of years ago, and one day he says to me, "We'll take a ride to Nashville," where Brooke lives in Brooklyn. So my wife says, "You're gonna get on a motorcycle, and you're gonna ride with a guy that you're really not friendly with for 2 weeks and share a hotel room?" She says, "The way you are, I'm not sure." Well, I have to tell you, that was during the Maryland riots. And his sister, I didn't know his sister's in Baltimore, okay? And he grew up, his grandfather grew up, his great-grandmother was slavery, all this kind of stuff. And he's pretty aggressive, pretty opinionated. Well, I can tell you, we had some discussions that I thought we were gonna kill each other. And when the trip, but when it was over, we shared a room together, we stayed in different places. And every night we said, "Hey Joe, have a nice night, sleep good, went to bed," and that was it. When we left, we were in, I dropped off in Brooklyn, we would come back, and he said to me, I hope you had a good time. I said, "Joe, I just gotta tell you something." I said, "This is like a long-term marriage." I said, we argued, we had some heated discussions. I said, "But you know what? I do this in a heartbeat. This was great." I said, "Because you had some opinions. I learned a lot from him. I learned things that I never thought about. I'm black, I didn't know some of his issues. And I'm Jewish, and we talked about a lot of different things. And he says, he's giving me a hug. And the two of us on the side of Bell Parkway hugging. And I'm thinking, people looking at us, like, what the hell's wrong with these two people? But the point was that we had we had respect for each other's opinions, and we never let it get personal.
Might be hurt. Make sure he can't hear. I wonder if he can hear us.
No, that's something, to me, it's what I want to do. Hello? Excuse me? Yeah. Hey. Oh, we're on YouTube. Okay, well, that's fine. Very good, thank you. Bye. It's Patty Sleeps.
Well, we don't say anything, right? Have we?
So anyway,
Yeah, we're good.
technology's good.
Yeah.
Hello to the YouTube world.
Yeah.
Let's close it. That's what Bert probably had trying to call me up. So the camera, was the camera go down?
No, the camera over there.
Right, that's one here.
It's not.
Right, so the audio's coming through the camera. It's still recording. It's good to reading it to call people names. Yeah.
get y'all the information ahead of time, so you'll have time, so it'll be quick and down and dirty. I don't think you.
Here, you save some money while you're still here. Well, you wanna call us there? Oh, man.
Gosh, wait down. Did you bring your recorder? Okay, I guess we're ready to go. Make a motion that we reconvene as a town council in open session. Do I have a second?
Second?
Call the question. Jim?
Jimmy?
James, Jimmy.
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
And I. Okay, Tom, you want to, Derek wanted to say something first? Okay.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to hire Miss Dell Martin as interim town clerk. This will be a part-time position at $25 per hour with no benefits. She would be working 16 to 20 hours per week. She can begin Monday, April the 12th.
I'll second that motion.
More about Mrs. Martin. She retired from the town of Kernersville in 2015. In her position there, in her last role there, she was the city clerk for 15 years. The prior 9 years before that, she served as the town manager's administrative assistant, and she was the deputy clerk in that role. And she began her career with the town of Kernersville as a receptionist and planning department's administrative assistant for 6 years. Since she retired from the town of Kernersville, she's been the legal assistant for Wolf and Associates, who serve as the town attorney for the town of Kernersville. So she comes with a tremendous amount of experience. She is retired now and just would like to work part-time for the town, and I believe she would be a great fit.
We have a motion and a second. Did somebody second your motion?
I seconded it.
Okay, Jim did. Okay. Any discussion? Call a question. Jimmy?
Aye.
Darren?
Aye.
Derek?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Aye. And then I'm going to call on Tom Medlin, our attorney, to talk about closed session.
I would also just make council aware and put on the public record that Ms. Priscilla Hunsucker, who is our current deputy town clerk, has tendered her resignation effective April 22nd of this year. Priscilla, as everyone has mentioned, has done a great job. She has been offered a different job and one that she believes will be a better fit for her. So she has tendered that resignation. So I will put that before you and ask that you pass a motion accepting.
So moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Call a question. Jimmy?
Well, I don't want to, but aye.
Darren?
Aye.
Derek?
Yeah, regrettably, I don't want to either, but aye.
Jim?
I'm just gonna go ahead and say no, so it didn't look like it was a force out.
Yeah, regrettably, I vote yes. Okay, citizens' comment from the floor. Don't everybody speak at one time.
Is anybody on Zoom, Priscilla, that didn't get to speak earlier?
Looks like Vicky and Bert are on Zoom.
Yeah,
I don't know if
but
it doesn't look like they're muted if they wanted to speak.
anybody on Zoom want to speak?
This meeting was not even posted on the website.
Is Bert, are you trying
Who
to
said that?
unmuted?
Vicky and Bert.
Said it was not on the website?
I agree with Bert Smith about the Zoom link. I checked the town website several times today, expecting it to be posted. this meeting was not even posted on the website.
I believe it's posted on the calendar,
Yeah.
on the events, and if you click on the link for April 8th, the
And it's also
hyperlink.
on the Sunshine List, I think.
Right, but
Yeah, I got the sunshine list, it come through.
That's it.
Okay, does any, Bert or Jennifer Simpson or Vicky want to speak?
Bert has opened his mic, but I don't know.
Okay. Announcements, planning board meeting Thursday, April 22nd at 7 PM at Town Hall. And the last item, a budget meeting, April 20th, 2021 at 7 PM. And I would like to add to that agenda, we've got the resolution about the hazardous mitigation. I'd just like to put on the agenda that we pass a resolution on that. So we'll put that on the agenda, but the budget meeting will be here at 7 o'clock. Comments from council?
I hate to see our front office do it all, everything, go-to for anything person is gonna be gone. And I'll just leave it at that. And she knows, she's kept pretty good secret on this one, short of being Santa Claus time.
yeah,
We're gonna miss you.
Thank
We're
you,
really gonna miss you.
thank you,
yeah.
all of you.
But thank you for all you've done. You know, that first day you walked in from up the street,
Thank you.
and we are still gonna be family from now on, and never will not be
I'll
family.
expect a Christmas present.
Well, I've got some folks that probably can do that.
Yeah, just echo there, and thank you, Priscilla, for everything. It's just your positive demeanor, and sense of humor. I have enjoyed working with you, and I appreciate everything you've done for the town and goodness, our water system, keeping that rolling. I wish you the best in the future.
Thank you.
Don't be a stranger.
I'd echo that when my wife and I first came here and you were the first person I think that we dealt with, and when we walked out, my wife she's very nice and bubbly, and you know, that is reflects how other citizens feel about your interactions, and that reflects well on the town, and that's the part I think we're gonna miss the most.
Thank you.
Well, Priscilla, obviously, you're more than an employee to me. We become good friends, and I will always value that, and we'll always maintain that good friendship. So good luck in your new endeavor, and thank you for your service. You've been outstanding.
Absolutely.
No other comments? I make a motion that we adjourn. Do I have a second? Tom?
Did you need an opportunity at all at this point? Nope. Okay, thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Call a question. Jimmy?
Aye.
Darren? Derek?
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Aye.
Close the mic.
So I'll go ahead and mail that out.